Coming up on Tekzilla, practice safe iPhone. Get your case on, people. How long will a solid-state drive last anyhow? E3 is here. We've got the scoop from the biggest show in gaming and a healthy stack of your viewer questions. So get that slice of meatloaf out of the microwave and grab the ketchup, because Tekzilla starts now. This episode of Tekzilla is made possible by GoToMeeting, Dice.com, the career hub for tech insiders. Check out the next generation of Adobe Flash platform tools and technologies. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
Welcome to Tekzilla, hands-on reviews, the latest tech, and how to make the most out of the gear you've already got.
Whether you're a beginner, tech support for your friends and family, if you've got a question about tech, or what the heck the ballpark flavor tastes like from the ice cream shop down the block, we've got an answer for you, the ballpark flavor.
It's beer, chocolate-covered pretzels, and either chewing tobacco or bubble gum.
Ooh.
We'll figure that out.
Delicious.
Anyhow, if we don't know what it tastes like, we'll track down somebody who has tasted it and get right back to you. Every few days we get another question about the Boxee box, or at least a couple a week. The Boxee appliance we first saw back at CES. Boxee has announced finally it'll be available sometime in November.
Woohoo!
Boxee told the Wall Street Journal they're still working with D-Link on some important stuff like the browser, flash capabilities, and HD video playback. These are good things to fix before you ship. Which, given the already crowded set-top HD video box market, that'll soon be joined by Google TV, and Engadget Rumor has it, a new Apple TV designed for streaming content, no hard drive inside, running the iPhone's iOS. Could be tough.
Yeah, we'll see.
A lot of set-top boxes. E3, the annual summit for all that is gaming, is going down this week. Veronica, the resident gaming addict, will be leaving for that tonight.
Yeah, tonight, which is Monday night. So by the time you see this on Thursday, I will be on my flight back home.
So what did you not see today at E3?
What did I not see today at E3? I did not see the Microsoft keynote. Microsoft, of course, revealed the Kinect motion controller, which is formerly Project Natal, and it looks pretty good. It's launching November 4th with 15 titles. I'm most excited about Dance Central. It's from Harmonix. It's a dance game.
It's like
you don't need any kind of
Guitar
special
Hero.
pad or anything. It's exactly like Dancing Guitar Hero.
So we're gonna see you like sitting at the bus stop doing that weird pattern things that the kids do.
Pretty much. I'm kind of excited about it. It's like
do 'em.
DDR, except without all the fancy extra equipment, as far
That's
as
the
I
best
know.
part.
No, it's not the best part. That's the most annoying part, because you have to have, like, never mind. Anyway, they're also going to have Video Connect, which lets you watch movies or shows with someone else over Xbox Live or Messenger.
Virtual dating.
Exactly. Yes. I guess you could use it for that. You can watch movies with people, anything that's going on your TV, I guess you can share and watch with a big group. It's like movie night.
I'm with you.
If all goes well, we'll have an interview in this show with somebody that I got up close and personal to see the Kinect. Not me, though, because I'm not there yet, unfortunately.
Maybe you'll see it tomorrow.
Maybe I'll see it tomorrow.
Maybe you'll call us
I don't know if
tomorrow
I'm
with the
allowed
news.
near the Microsoft booth. I don't know. They may have like my picture
about
up on
that.
the wall being like, don't let that girl near. But anyway, sports fans, you get to rejoice because ESPN will have an exclusive relationship with Xbox to show NBA, MLB, college football, college basketball, soccer, and Sports Center, which is pretty cool. And you can also use Kinect to vote on which teams you think are going to win a particular game. So it's like betting.
So you go from Madden football to Sports Center to the game, back to Madden football.
Yeah, but the big news, I think, was definitely the new Xbox. It's smaller, it's sleeker, it's arguably sexier. It's all like skinny and fancy and flashy. But what's cool is it has built-in wireless support, 802.11n.
Nice.
So you don't need a separate dongle or Ethernet cord. It just hooks up to your wireless in your home.
It's about time.
So that'll be super cool. It's got a 250 gigabyte drive. It's removable, but it's not the same form factor as the previous drive, so they're not interchangeable. So that might be kind of a pain. But you can actually hook up via USB to copy over all your stuff from your previous Xbox.
Migrating
so
all
the
your
data
stuff.
transfer won't be too hard. Older memory units won't work. It's got built-in software for HD data transfer. Like I said, it's got 5 USB ports.
I
That's a lot
smell
of
more
USB ports.
accessories.
That's a lot of peripherals. It's got an optical SPDIF plug, no dongle needed. It's Kinect ready, of course, and it's going to be available now for $299. You can get one now. $299. It's not too bad for a 250 gigabyte hard drive.
Let me explain why Roger was selling his Xbox 360 on Twitter today.
He is definitely trying to get rid of that thing. He's dropping it like hotcakes. Plus, he's had a lot of trouble with that particular unit.
Give you $50 for it, Raj.
The Elite's going to be $249, and the Arcade is going to drop all the way down to $149. And unfortunately, no official announcement yet on the Hulu for Xbox Live thing that was rumored previously. Maybe by today something's come up, but I feel like if they were going to do that, they would have it in the announcement,
keynote, yeah.
in the big keynote. But Netflix Search is finally coming to the dashboard, so you can search and add titles to your queue without having to go on the website first and then syncing it to your Instant Play queue.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's a big
nice
feature that we've been hoping for at home anyway.
Please
Adding
make it
things to your
easier.
Instant queue.
A bunch of folks wrote in about AT&T's 3G microcell, which I reviewed last week. We're going to talk a bit more about it next week, but I do want to say that it is designed to pass off calls from the microcell to AT&T's main network when you leave the area the microcell covers. Unfortunately, it will not do that in my neighborhood, but several folks mentioned that it worked just fine for them where they live. We'll talk about it again a little more next week. A lot of people wrote in about sort of Verizon and Sprint and their options and who gives it to you for free and who charges it. So we'll kind of summarize the whole femtocell scene. And for everybody that asked on Twitter, this is what the Asus Eee Box looks like on the inside. Notice the single,
guts.
Yeah, there's only one mini PCI Express slot in there. So if I'm going to put my little video accelerator inside of this box, I will have to give up on the wireless connectivity. Although maybe I could put this in one of my notebooks.
Yeah, it's a good try.
That is the legendary mini PCI Express
I'll pull it apart and
slot.
take the components for other things.
Well,
Whatever.
I'll put something else in there, I promise.
Anyhow, first question. Kevin wants to know how long SSDs will last. He wrote in, I heard SSD drives, that's redundant, Kevin. It's SSD. Have write limits of something like 1 million times. That sounds like a lot until you think about all the operating system files that are constantly being read and written. One example I can think of is page file. How long would an SSD drive, Kevin, it's SSD. How long would an SSD last before it starts failing? Or do they start losing capacity because the firmware marks bad areas that have been written too many times? Thanks, Kevin in Wisconsin. Yes?
Pressure's on. Somebody's thinking about upgrading to SSD drives in her computers.
That's redundant. It's SSD.
Look, MLC NAND cells can be erased something like 10,000 times before, in the words of an N. Shimpy, it stops reliably holding charge. The zeros and ones go away. And SLC ups that to something like 100,000 erases. That sounds awful small though, right? Everybody that bought an SSD like me and Roger are stupid and wasted their money.
So stupid.
Yeah, that 10,000 writes thing is a little deceptive. For example, that million you're throwing around is most likely the write endurance rating for an older SSD. You take that times the capacity divided by the sustained write speed and you get a huge number of seconds, like billions of seconds. That means you should have like 30 years of use out of this.
Yeah.
So
first up, most folks spend a lot more time reading data from a drive rather than writing to it. And second, thanks to wear leveling, you don't write to the same memory cell in the device every time you write. And thanks to wear leveling built into the drive, to oversimplify, it spreads the writes around as much as possible. OEMs told Intel they wanted a drive to be able to handle 20 gigabytes of data written per day for 5 years before it would fail. 20 gigabytes is probably 3 times what a heavy home user does.
yeah, so Intel basically came back and guarantees their drive. They put some extra padding on the drive, some space you don't have access to, because cramming an SSD drive to the gills and giving it no space to move stuff around is no good. They guarantee that their X25M models are good for 100 gigabytes a day for 5 years, which should keep massive, scary data centers all kind of happy. Or any kind of burly server environment, or somebody working with crazy amounts of video editing. It's also possible, we should mention, it's possible over time for flash cells to lose their charge, but that is way, way, way out in the future of your drives. Look, solid state drive technology, it came from like little crappy thumb drives you could write like 2 terabytes to, and then they were done, they were worn out. It should take something like 5 to 10 to 30 years. I'm hoping I don't even...
So basically, he's going to have a whole new computer system set up by the time it wears out. Like, probably many times over before that becomes an issue.
Unless it turns out there's some hidden issue that none of the mathematicians
Yeah.
and scientists and engineers and other geniuses that worked on the product.
I think you're okay,
projects.
Kevin.
But
You and your SSD drives.
you're not going to wear it out. Trust us on that one. Well, we hope. Highlights from E3 coming up, but while we got your attention.
If you run a business that depends on far-flung colleagues and clients across the country or across the globe, getting enough face-to-face time can be a real issue. Travel is expensive and time is short, so what do? Turn to our sponsor, GoToMeeting. With GoToMeeting, you can turn your PC into a virtual meeting room. Work and meet with clients no matter where they're located. With screen sharing, you can demonstrate ideas, concepts, and collaborate in real time with attendees on presentations, documents, and spreadsheets. Plus, with voice and chat tools, you can improve communication and strengthen relationships virtually. Worried about eavesdroppers or hackers? Don't. GoToMeeting meets some of the most stringent security requirements, so you can be confident that your meetings are kept private and free of any prying eyes or ears. And it's so easy to set up. Attendees don't need to sign up for the service to join your meeting. So cut back on the air travel, hotels, and rental cars and try GoToMeeting free for 30 days. Just visit gotomeeting.com/Tekzilla. That's gotomeeting.com/Tekzilla for a free 30-day trial.
Welcome to this week's freebie download pick. A free program that we find useful, fun, or incredibly interesting. This week, Registry Repair. Is your Windows machine giving you weird software errors? Does Windows take forever to load? The chances are you might have a registry issue. Sure, you can dig inside the registry yourself, poke around, get some editing on, prod things, and see if you trash your computer completely. But it would be much, much smarter to just go to Registry Repair. This single function app does one thing and one thing only. It cleans out and repairs your registry from leftover uninstalled applications, bad software installs, and missing or corrupt drivers. All you need to do is start it up and scan your registry. Once it's done, click Repair, and Registry Repair will automatically clean things up. You can restore previous settings if you find yourself needing to go back, so don't sweat it. Seriously, if you need to clear out your registry without the hassle and potential damage of doing it yourself, give Registry Repair a try. It's free. With highly anticipated announcements from Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, and a whole host of video game publishers, E3 is one of the most important video gaming events of the year, probably the biggest event in video games. Joining us by phone with a ground's eye view on what's going on at E3 this year, Scam School host and Twit E3 reporter, Mr. Brian Brushwood, also of the infamous Not Safe for Work podcast on the Twit Network.
NSFW is actually very much safe for work. But yeah, and avid gamer in there. You could throw that in the mix as well.
I should put avid gamer and man who's being photographed constantly because of his extraordinary hair. Dude, what's your favorite thing so far at E3 this year?
Far and away, the favorite thing is just seeing how big and over the top they've gotten it back to being. You know, 4 years ago when they made the announcement that they were going to scale things down, that they were going to make it more of a smaller media event, that they started hosting things in airplane hangars, was a big bummer to me because some of my fondest memories are of just how big, over-the-top, outrageous the E3 floor is. This year is as big and as huge as I ever remember it from the past. All of the South Wing filled up, all of the West Wing filled up, a bunch of permanent rooms for people taking meetings. This is as big as gaming gets.
So tell me, is anybody getting a chance to see the Microsoft's Kinect, the motion control camera up close? Are they doing any demos
absolutely.
on that?
Yep, they've got demos of everything as you go through the Xbox 360 area, and this is an interesting logistical way they had to handle it. Obviously, if you have a bunch of people jumping and flailing all around, you're going to have liability issues, and the fact that random passersby are going to be interrupting everyone's game. So they've set up a little habit trail, these little habit trail bubbles where people, they're like in a fishbowl, and everyone sits there and watches them hopping all around as they pretend to whitewater raft or pet fake tigers.
What did you think of the $150 kitty petting simulator?
I'm really surprised to see Microsoft taking such a big step in a direction that's clearly already owned by the Wii. Mm-hmm. It's like they're trying to play the Wii's game, but not even doing it as well as the Wii. The only thing that I saw out of the entire Microsoft press event that I thought they really were doing right was I believe Your Body was the title of it, where that does look like there's potential. If somebody could capture for guys, essentially P90X with a robot, slave driver of a trainer, then I think that would actually work for the Xbox demographic. But outside of that, I don't really see it as a fit.
Okay, so I'm sensing a thumbs down on the Kinect motion control camera. Any 360 titles you're excited about that you've seen so far?
Oh, a ton of 360 titles coming out. And first of all, let me qualify. I'm only saying thumbs down. I still haven't done it yet.
Okay.
This could be like the iPhone experience, the iPad experience, where once you touch it, once you've done it, you fall in love with it. But from what I'm seeing so far, it's just a surprising departure from the space that normally Microsoft really owns strongly, which is the hardcore gamers who like to play online against their friends.
Okay, caveat noted. What are the titles that do have you actually excited for the 360?
Oh, man, I guess it's rumored. I still haven't seen any of the stuff over at BioWare's booth, but there's talk of Mass Effect 3, which we'll see if that's confirmed. Of course, that may be out of date by the time this actually goes to air. Same thing with Dragon Age 2. Those are the ones I'm looking forward to. Far and away, though, the Xbox 360 title I'm most interested in is Rock Band 3. On the one hand, you have the rhythm game is an aging platform now. The novelty has worn off. And Harmonix has done something very unusual in that they've actually started to bridge the gap between playing for fun, goofy rhythm games, and actually learning how to play an instrument. Two things they're doing. One thing, they've released a new keyboard controller, 25-key keyboard, and as the notes come down, you actually have to hit the right notes, and you're actually playing the keyboard parts to all these songs. And especially with a lot of songs from the 80s, you got a lot of synth and keyboard. Second thing they're doing is the Xbox, I assume for multi-platform, but they've got the pro-grade guitar with, I believe it's over 100 buttons on there. Each of the buttons are long and narrow and thin, so they feel like strings. And in the pro mode, you actually have to form the proper chords. You actually need to pluck the proper strings in order to play the music. So you actually learn the real stuff. And this could be the way that it keeps itself relevant in the long term.
I like it. Nintendo 3DS, you excited about the 3D version of the DS? You travel constantly. Are you traveling with a Nintendo at this point, a pocket gamer?
By all accounts, Nintendo knocked it out of the park with their press event when they revealed the Nintendo 3DS, in addition to what was expected, which is very important, a 3D display that does not require you to wear goofy glasses. We understand that when you go to the movie theater, you might wear goofy glasses. That's a very specific place, but around the house, I just don't see people doing it. They induce headaches in some people. They're uncomfortable. But when it comes to an object you can hold in your hand, you can position it just right, and you get the 3D effects. And it's not just the games. First of all, they did add an analog stick to it, and there's 3 cameras on this thing.
Wow.
There's 2 cameras on the back that allow you to actually take 3D photographs that can be displayed in 3D, and there's also a front-facing camera as well. On top of that, apparently there's talk that Hollywood releases of 3D movies will be coming to the 3DS. So you'll be able to watch movies like Avatar. I don't know if that particular one will be in there, but you'll be able to watch movies in 3D. And there's talk about patches to existing games that will upgrade them so you can actually play existing titles in 3D on your Nintendo 3DS.
So Nintendo once again having a thoughtful, well-organized, and highly planned rollout. Any idea what the titles on the 3DS are going to be when it ships?
Some of the talk was there's a new Kirby game, and it was almost as though it was the greatest hits of all their greatest franchises from the past. Donkey Kong Returns, and a number of other titles as well.
Anything big on the Wii this year, or is that pretty much on the down low while they work on the 3DS?
Biggest thing people are talking about on the Wii is Warren Spector's epic Mickey game. The art design and the direction is very unique, and Warren Spector, of course, has an excellent pedigree. He created the Deus Ex franchise. He created System Shock. It'll be really interesting to see where he goes, adding dark imagery to a traditionally very lighthearted character with Mickey Mouse.
I was going to say, those titles to Mickey, it's like a Marvel reimagining of the universe. Mickey goes dark.
One more comment on the Mickey thing. Yeah, there's entire levels where they actually go back to this black and white kind of Steamboat Willie aesthetic. It's really interesting to see.
Wow, that's actually, I'm tempted to see that one. Sony's motion controller, it's a Wii with a blue gumdrop on top. Are you feeling that? Everybody's getting into the motion controls.
Boy, they sure are, and all the games look exactly the same. They all have a sporting game, they all have a dance game, they all have a workout game. It's going to be interesting to see if anybody can out-Wii the Wii, which that's a sentence I never thought I'd say in public. But the most significant announcement, the biggest surprise, was that Valve announced that they are bringing their Steam platform from the PC and the Mac onto the PS3, and that Portal 2 will be coming out for the PS3. Now, keep in mind, Valve's Steam is slowly revolutionizing PC gaming. They made the press release a couple months ago that the number of PCs with Steam installed exceeds the total number of Xbox 360s, the total number of PS3s, the total number of Wiis. They literally are now the world's largest gaming platform is Valve's Steam. And to bring that to the PS3 is pretty big news.
I'm fascinated, but didn't the folks at Steam just a couple months ago, someone it seem say that they basically despised consoles or a particular console that they just rolled out on? Or is my memory faulty on that one?
That's the rumor. Twitter is abuzz with this about face, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more about it. But of course, I wouldn't put it past them either to have worked out some kind of backroom deal, or heck, maybe even just made this as well part of a master stroke of publicity.
I noticed part of the 3DS that had you so excited was not getting to wear goofy goggles. How about PS3 gaming? The 3D games, which of course are going to require a 3D HD TV and the big old shutter glasses. Anything there that looks compelling enough for you, Brian Brushwood, man of restraint and professional hair, to pry on a pair of goofy-looking 3D glasses?
You know, I'll do it for the novelty, I'm not going to lie, but as far as being a mass market success, there are certain hurdles that the rest of America may not be interested in jumping. Let me tell you one thing that's really interesting is obviously at E3 you have these gigantic, high-quality, high-definition displays, and boy, it really showcased the limitations of the Nintendo Wii. When you walk around, the displays for the PS3 games were super crisp. Now keep in mind, the Wii is excellent on gameplay, and it's going to be a lot of fun, but I wonder how long it'll be before we see an upgrade to an HD Wii.
Well, I know that in the United States, we've gone from 13% household penetration to 65% household penetration on HD TVs. And yeah, the Wii does not scale well to 1080p at all. We're just about out of time. I know Twisted Metal, people are going nuts about that one. What are the games that everybody's excited about so far at E3, Brian?
Some of the, as you walk around on the floor, you know, you see which ones are being pushed very heavily in the marketing. Found out something interesting about the Tron Evolution. It was pushed very hard by Disney, and they said that the game actually ties in and tells the backstory leading up to the upcoming Tron Legacy movie.
Really?
Which, as a person who's crazy for Tron, I'm excited about. Another thing you're seeing a lot of promotion on is the game Homefront, which is postulates that 5 years down the road, North Korea unifies Korea, takes over Japan, and eventually invades the United States, which sounds a little bit crazy at the surface, but of course, everyone thought that Hitler had no power shortly before World War II. What's interesting about it is that they're really selling the game not based on the gameplay as much as selling the backstory. They recently sent out to a bunch of different publications actual pamphlets, propaganda pamphlets from the people who are overtaking America, explaining how they're saving you from imperialism and capitalism. And the story is actually written by the same person who wrote Red Dawn. So it's interesting to see the pedigree there.
So hopefully the game actually lives up to the marketing campaign leading up to it.
Yeah, well, it's good to see stories sold on the video games. Also often it's about the graphics and the numbers and about how many jumps per second or whatever, but it's good to just see like, hey, here's a really neat world to sink your teeth into. Of course, the other thing I'm excited about that I'll definitely be coming to Xbox is Fallout New Vegas coming from Bethesda as well.
Brian Brushwood, ladies and gentlemen, we have him on Scam School. What's the best place to find all things Brian Brushwood?
Head on over to shwood.com. That's SHWOOD.com. From there, you can link over to scamschool.tv, the show about social engineering at the bar and on the street. And, of course, NSFW every Tuesday night on the Twit network at live.twit.tv.
Brian, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us. Dude, watch your ears. It's loud down there.
Has Patrick found the ultimate in safety for the iPhone? He's got a collection of iPhone cases coming up, but first...
Are you still looking for that perfect career in technology? You should be checking out Dice.com. They got over 50,000 tech-related job postings, including many from the big companies tech pros want to work for. Dice.com has something for almost every tech field and level. Do you live and breathe video games? Then register and post your resume today and start pursuing a career that lets you get hands-on with the things we talk about right here on Tekzilla, like video games. In fact, with E3 going on this week, here's a job we noticed in the LA area for a video game console programmer with skills, mad skills from the PS2, Xbox, video game programming console, AI, or FX. Of course, there's a lot more than just jobs on Dice.com. There's also resume building tips, tools to lift yourself to the top of the pile, and advice to give your tech career a boost. So what are you waiting for, people? Visit Dice.com today and find that dream tech job and start your career off right.
Looks like it's time for another website we just can't get enough of. A website that we just can't stay away from because it's too useful, too funny, or just too darn irresistible. This week's pick, Lunchwalla. You know the drill. Noon rolls around and suddenly everyone at the office is scrambling to figure out where and what to eat for lunch. But now, thanks to Lunchwalla, you can browse and vote on places to eat all in one place. First, find a restaurant near you. Enter in your address and select an appetizing choice from the results. Next, select the contacts you want to invite. You can pull in contacts from your email address book or add people individually. The third step is selecting a date and time, and then you can review your plans and send out your invitations. Once your friends get the invite, they can vote for eating there or pick another spot. What I love about this service is that it pulls in data from some of my other favorite websites like Yelp, OpenTable, and Foursquare. You can read reviews about the restaurants you want to visit, make reservations using OpenTable, and then check into the locations on Foursquare or import your friends. There are even real-world incentives for checking in and linking your Lunchwalla page to Foursquare. Users can get gift certificates once their balance gets high enough. Lunchwalla can be used for planning events other than lunch too. You can plan happy hours, concert trips, and any meal for that matter. They even have local coupons right on the site, so you might even save a few bucks. Make lunch planning less of a chore with Lunchwalla. And thanks to Steve H. on Google Buzz for the suggestion. If anyone needs iPhone protection, it's Patrick. He's been amassing quite the collection of iPhone 3G and 3GS cases just in time for the release of the iPhone 4.
And the price drop on the 3GS.
I know, won't these all be kind of irrelevant?
Well, there's still millions of
That's
3G
true.
and 3GSs out there.
Of course.
And this actually will give you an idea of what you're looking at when the iPhone 4 cases come out from these. Actually, most of these manufacturers, I'm sure, will be rapidly producing iPhone 4th generation cases.
All right, well, let's see what you got here from this looks like most tank-like to most small in form factor.
I got to say one thing about one of these first. This whole sort of crazed collection all started with me tweeting about Magpul's iPhone field case. It's $10. You guys went nuts online. Magpul makes accessories for AR-15s, M4s, basically modern sporting rifles, semi-automatics, and it's a semi-rigid rubber case. It's designed to look like a PMag, a polymer magazine.
Bulletproof, is it?
No, sadly it's not. Although if anybody was going to do a bulletproof iPhone case, it may be the guys at Magpul, because they decided basically they want to make it better, and they've delayed the release until later this year. That was kind of interesting because they give you cutouts, so you can decide whether or not you want to expose the ports on it, which actually gives it a little more protection against dirt and grit and water. And they actually have a little recess for the reset pin that comes with the iPhone if you want to actually be able to pop it in the field and fix things. Bombproof, incredibly not jeans pocket friendly. The Pelican i1015, the iPhone case, $21. It's airtight, it's waterproof, it's crush proofed. It's got cable management built in. Basically, there's a little slot on the side, and you can actually wrap your earbuds down around the base of that one.
It looks like a tiny little Pelican case. It's so cute.
It is a tiny little Pelican case. The big caveat is that basically you can start things, you can play things, you can listen to things, especially if you have like a Bluetooth earbud. You cannot use the screen as long as the
whole touch screen
aspect of it.
situation.
If you can find one for sale, they're getting pretty hard to find. The Otterbox 2600 isn't as crush proof, but it has a polymer membrane here that can actually use the touchscreen through, and otherwise is pretty airproof and waterproof. So right now I'm snapping my iPhone into the Otterbox Defender. It's a pretty bomb-proof case, right? It's not waterproof, but you basically wrap your iPhone in an interior plastic case, and that's your first layer of protection. That gets snapped into, literally, like there's all these little inserts, slot tab A into slot B, and it all wraps around.
Wow.
There's covers for all the individual ports to help keep water or dust out, and everything snaps into place. And you have this pretty secure container that is probably, I would hope, strong enough to endure even me, because you've got rubber and plastic and a huge amount of plastic protecting the screen and a built-in screen protector on this. And they want to remind you to not carry it with the iPhone out, because then you expose yourself to running into the corner of desks and cubicles, but with the case in and get your nerd on hanging off of your belt. That's probably the most practical day-to-day carrier if you actually want to use your screen. Although I got to say, the next one I'm going to show you really quick, the Spec Tough Skin. Hold that thing up. It looks really floppy, right?
Yeah, doesn't feel too sturdy.
What's crazy
When
is
it's
as you
separated
wrap
anyway.
that thing around the phone, it ends up tightening up and being incredibly solid and actually feels really good in the hands. It's not quite as much protection as the Defender, but you're talking about 20 to 35 bucks online. And I should also point out that online, the prices on these vary insanely. But there's a two-piece case. The plastic case goes over, the rubber case locks into place, and it is surprisingly robust once it's all put together. One really cool thing about this one, whoops, where's the case for this one, is that it has a stand built into the holster.
Oh, nice.
So it's not just a holster, but it actually is a holster in a stand. So if you're sitting on the plane or something like that, you can completely get your nerd on without using your hands.
Very cool.
A little more fashionable is the fine folks at Spec, the candy shells. These are 20 to 30 bucks depending on where you're shopping. It's silicone in the inside with a hard plastic wrap. The corners allow it to give a little compression or bumper if you're dropping it. It has a nice amount of protection over the screen. And actually, it's shockingly good protection. I was a little surprised. Banging things around, it looks like it'd keep things good. Like all of these, it's sort of prone to being subject to the direct drop on a pointy rock problem. Otterbox Commuter, not my favorite product from Otterbox. It's essentially a silicone wrap and a secondary plastic wrap that rounds that, but apparently one of their most popular cases, so people really like these for day-to-day. Much more pocket-friendly than the larger Otterbox devices. These sell for 20 to 35 bucks, and I will say it's nice to have port protection built into a case. The Incipio Silicrylic, this one's actually pretty crazy. You've got the two-piece case. You drop your iPhone into here, and if you drop it in the right way, you can actually use the buttons. So it feels, I think this is one of those cases that's going to get a little munged up in your bag. I think it's going to be subject to dirt gathering if you're not careful. But I did like the way they set up the protection on the corners for the plastics. You've got extra protection on the corners, and not a huge amount, but a decent amount of wrap around the edges of the iPhone. By far the easiest one to assemble, the in-case slider. They have what they call the rubber bumpers on the back, and I thought it was going to be like rubber lined on the inside. Probably not the most shock-proof case, but certainly the easiest one to assemble. Two pieces you slide together, you've got a pretty good amount of protection on the edge of the screen, which is where a lot of the brakes start, and it comes with a kickstand. And if you turn it around the right way, it even works the way it's supposed to. The Spec Fitted, another case here from Spec. Basically another two-piece case. I expected this one to actually sort of fly open and disintegrate as soon as it was dropped because, again, it's pretty easy to assemble. You turn the case around the right way, and I like that. I gotta say, this one had kind of the best feel of the texture on the back, so there's like a fabric embedded on it. And anyway, if it's assembled properly, it won't pop open like it just did. And well, maybe over time it does start to disassemble if you drop it on the corners. You hold that one, I'm gonna stop dropping and beating on my phone. Finally, one last one. Let me steal your phone again real quick. iSkin Solo, 10 bucks. The flexible, slim-fitting bodysuit, which is a mouthful for any advertising. But essentially, it's a bit of silicone-ish rubber. I think it's silicone, some kind of polymer that wraps around your phone and gives you a decent amount of protection. And this one, actually, they have a ton of colors available on that one, which is really nice, including the basic black with microbrand antimicrobial protection.
You can see my lovely little Tekzilla gel skin underneath.
Yay! So I got to say, I really like the ones that actually wrap the entire phone in silicone and plastic and hard plastic. It seems like they're going to be the most bomb-proof. Although I'm really looking at the Spec or the Otterbox Defender for my daily carry.
I think this might have to be the one you use. Just clip it onto your belt, you'll be good to go. We don't have to worry about you breaking any more phones.
I need something where I can at least pretend to be able to use both thumbs.
That's true. Good point.
Coming up next, how to best use a computer in bed, which sounds like a fortune cookie joke. Let's just quickly thank one of our sponsors and move along.
We'd like to thank Adobe Flash Platform. With the newest release of Adobe Flash Platform tools and runtimes, including Adobe Flash Player 10.1, Adobe Air 2, Adobe Creative Suite 5, and Adobe Flash Builder 4, designers and developers can use the same code, assets, frameworks, tools, and services to create rich applications, web content, and videos that deploy in and outside the browser and across devices. Plus, the Adobe Flash Platform provides professional tools, an open source framework, and ubiquitous clients and servers, allowing you to deliver apps that run consistently across browsers, operating systems, and devices for the widest reach. You can download trials of Adobe Flash Builder 4 and Adobe Flash Catalyst CS5 and try out the tools for yourself. Plus, learn Flash Builder with the free online training video. So start getting creative and check out adobe.com/Flash Platform.
David writes in, do you two have any ideas on what the best or cheapest ways are to enjoy computing while relaxing in bed? Something especially useful for cold mornings when you don't have to go to work. I've used my laptop by putting it on a pillow on my stomach, but it can get too heavy or hot, and I don't like having heaps of electrical and wireless stuff so close to my body, just in case radiation or whatever in the future is proved by scientists to be a long-term health issue. It is. It's called the sun. Don't go outside. I've thought about projecting the screen onto the roof of my room so you can really enjoy laying back and avoid permanent neck strain, but I'm not sure if you need a specially designed projector for this. I've thought about using hospital tables. How would you guys tackle this one? Thanks for the show, Dave. You're actually prone to using Mr. Little Jeans.
Yeah, but he gets hot too.
Really?
Yeah, it's all that fur.
The whole.
And I don't want to expose him to any unnecessary radiation.
Yeah, I gotta say, people also, there was a big argument a while back about cell phone.
No,
and how
it's
cell phones were
actually
gonna fry
still a
your
big
brain.
argument, and in fact, there are lots of studies that do say that the long-term effects of radiation and having cell phones next to our head is actually very dangerous. But the cell phone companies are keeping it kind of hush-hush.
See, I had a bunch of people who taught physics emailed us when I was back at DLTV, and they're like, "You're on crack. Do you have any idea how walking out in the sun for 3 seconds?"
Well, that's true, but then
much more dangerous.
That's obviously true, I'm sure. But there's
Math,
a great This American Life
statistics.
about it that you guys should go listen to. Anyway, it's a good case for those iPhone cases. A good case for an iPhone case.
A lead
that
iPhone
has
case?
There is one. It's not made of lead, but it does protect you from radiation. I can't remember the name of it right now. It begins with a P.
We'll see if I would be
I'll
curious
find it. I have
for
one
it.
at home.
You want to compute in bed, though.
Yeah, anyway, a projector is a great idea if you have space for it. No light fixture in the middle of the ceiling, for example. But the real problem is figuring out how to type when you're laying flat on your back. Lap tables, hospital tables are good. You can sometimes find those little breakfast in bed tables. Belkin has a couple of lap pads that you can put on your lap.
Levenger's, the reading company, they used to make a great sort of drape over lap table. That'll kind of keep the lap table in between your computer and you. You definitely, the pillow is bad with a notebook, not so much because you might overheat part of your anatomy that are important for reproduction, but because pillows tend to block all of the air vents on the side of the notebook because the notebook settles in and the down of the pillow kind of wraps around the edge of the notebook, and
it's
all of a
not
sudden
good.
your fingertips start burning.
Yeah, but they're like pillow top lap sets that are designed specifically for that purpose. So if you do enough Googling, I'm sure you'll find one. I'm positive that Belkin has one, or at least they did in the recent future.
One of
In
the
the
guys that
recent
went to-
future? In the recent
recent
past.
future.
You know what I mean.
One of the guys who went to
recently.
school with just cut out 1/4-inch plywood and sort of routed it around so it would fit around his belly particularly well, which was
bad.
bizarre, but worked for him.
Well, our final question comes from William about a podcasting issue he's been having. He writes, after watching Tom and Veronica's podcasting advice on episode 134, I went out and bought the Asus Multimix 8 USB mixer for recording my very own podcast.
Nice.
The device does plug and play on my laptop running Windows XP 32-bit, but after that I have no idea how to get it to record mic audio into Audacity. It has a power adapter plug in the back, but it didn't come with a power adapter. I was led to believe that it would be powered through USB, so I'm not sure if I need that adapter or not, though I do know that when it's plugged into USB, none of the LED lights on the board come up. They don't light up. Well, I actually asked Tom to double check because he owns one, and he says that it should come with a power adapter. It's not USB powered. Are you sure there's no adapter? Did you buy it secondhand?
Actually, certain music outlets are terribly, at least in meat space, maybe not so much online, but I can think of certain chains that are, people take things and return them and return them without parts, and if the person who's, checking
I'm actually
it back
notorious for sending back review units without the power adapter.
Notorious.
Notorious. I just forget to unplug the power adapter and put it back in the box.
So you have like a pile of power
I have
adapters by
so
the
many
plugs?
power adapters at home that I have no idea what they work with, and then you try to make them. I've ruined things by using the wrong power adapter because I haven't checked the water. Whatever.
We need to get you a labeler.
Anyway, so you should probably call them and make sure that it either was left out of the box or perhaps you just lost it. I don't know. It should have a power adapter. As for Audacity, you have to go set the input to be the USB audio codec, then it should work. So those are probably your two main issues. Power adapter,
do you set it
definitely a big
inside of
one.
Audacity itself, or do you have to dig down into the control
In Audacity
panel?
itself,
Oh, cool.
in the inputs area.
Control options.
You've probably figured it out by now, by yourself anyway. Finally, here are some of your thoughts on the DIY iPad stand. Ron wrote in saying, seems like if the guy wanted to spend $30 plus, he'd buy Apple's case, which can double as a stand. I have one of those, but the other option I've tried and like is to use my TicoFold, which I originally bought as an iPhone stand. Works with the iPad just fine in the Apple case or naked. It folds flat for easy stuffing into a pocket or bag. I bought a black one, but there are some other colors. Pretty cool stand. Ron. And Brian followed up writing, on episode 144, Gregory in Japan wanted a cheap and easy iPad stand for watching video. The Incomparable Life Hacker website recently showed how to do a 30-second coat hanger iPad stand that might be right up his alley, given that the other options may be difficult for him to access while in Japan. It's complete with a nice video demo, not to take anything away from Patrick's mad skills with a pair of pliers. Granted, you didn't have a lot of time to put that thing together, but I thought you did a good job.
Well, thank you. I'll measure next time, and I'll watch the Life Hacker
and thanks to everyone else who wrote in. We got a lot of good suggestions for Gregory.
iPhone, Android, iPad, all of these new phones with amazing new applications. How do you know which ones are worth your time to download? Try watching App Judgment. Every day the gang behind App Judgment gives the latest applications a try so you don't have to. Tune in daily to see what apps you should be downloading at revision3.com/appjudgment. And for everybody out there watching, we live on your emails. We live on your questions. Email us your questions. Tekzilla at revision3.com. People, tech help, product reviews, how-tos, recipes. You ask us, we'll do it. But we need those emails, so don't be shy. Send them into Tekzilla at revision3.com.
Even better, send us in a video question. Think of all the fun you can have and the admiration of all your friends and family when they see your mug on our show. Just keep it to 15 seconds, upload it to YouTube, and send us a link in an email with video question in the subject line. And as always, you can visit our forums at revision3.com/forum. Share your thoughts, ideas, or comments with other fans of the show. Thank you guys so much for watching.
I'm Patrick Dorton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
Until next time, you've been watching Tekzilla. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another fine blended edition of Tekzilla. We've taken the finest in social networking and technology and brewed them up to a tasty little stew guaranteed to make Veronica damn near drop on sight. Ladies and gentlemen, Veronica Belmont will be suffering from some form of unknown stomach illness during the production of this show.
Single on me, put a single on me.
Put the camera on me!
Kevin in Wisconsin. That's what he has to say about that.
Ow. Sorry, everybody.
Wow, pressure's on.
Have a fuzz on your face.
Oops, sorry.
I got it.
That was not snot. A free program that we find useful, fun, or you heard the
I know, I heard its feelings, and
you
now
heard
it will
Serafina's
respond.
feelings.
The device does plug and play. 3, 2. The device does plug. Oh, so close. 3, 2. The device does plug and play. No, that was too slow. 3, 2.